Hello everyone and welcome back to my sad little sunken submarine floating around somewhere in the abyss. I'm trying to clear this space out, but I'll deal with it later. Now today I thought we'd talk about Lena Dunham, the lolcow of Twitter. She has quite the skill when it comes to saying stupid things or doing stupid things repeatedly. You all remember who she is, right? These pictures were taken professionally, and they're not good. Let's try again. I'm guessing we're not going to get them. In any case, it doesn't matter. Before we delve into the fresh insanity that is what Lena Dunham has said this time, I think it would be a good opportunity to refresh our memories with some of the silly things she's done over the years. Firstly, let's not forget her autobiography where she said, after questioning her mother whether or not all children had uteruses, and I quote, "One day as I sat in our driveway in Long Island playing with blocks and buckets, my curiosity got the best of me. Grace was sitting up, babbling and smiling, and I leaned down between her legs and carefully spread open her vagina. She didn't resist, and when I saw what was inside, I shrieked." Now, granted, she did at least stop her sister from hurting herself any further, but let's not forget here, she's still the same Lena Dunham that decided to spread open her sister's legs out of curiosity. This is the same Lena Dunham that masturbated in front of her sister, and the same one that would kiss her for prolonged periods of time under the guise of bribing her sister to do it. Now let's skip ahead a bit. Lena Dunham also said that she wished she'd had an abortion just so she could understand what it was like.
Something I've thought about a lot is the fact that there is stigma around abortion. We all know that. I always thought that I myself didn't stigmatize abortion. I'm a abortion rights activist. It's a huge part of who I am. But one day, when I was visiting a Planned Parenthood in Texas a few years ago, a young girl walked up to me and asked me if I'd like to be a part of her project in which women share their stories of abortions. I sort of jumped. I haven't had an abortion, I told her. I wanted to make it really clear to her that as much as I was going out and fighting for other women's options, I myself had never had an abortion. And I realized then that even I was carrying within myself stigma around this issue. Even I, the woman who cares as much as anybody about a woman's right to choose, felt it was important that people know that I was unblemished in this department. So many people I love, my mother, my best friends, have had to have abortions for all kinds of reasons. I feel so proud of them for their bravery, for their self-knowledge, and it was a really important moment for me then to realize that I had internalized some of what society was throwing at us, and I had to put it in the garbage. Now I can say that I still haven't had an abortion, but I wish I had.
Because everyone needs those precious victim points. The same Lena Dunham who gave back her dog to the same place she got the dog from because she couldn't handle the dog's emotional outbursts. Like after 4 years there was no possible place she could take her dog to help her dog or be disciplined in a way that would allow her dog to be more comfortable for her to handle. Effort, right? Oh, and let's not forget, Lena also compared Judd Apatow's obsession with Bill Cosby to the Holocaust. She's a genius. Now on to her fresh piece of stupidity. Things women do lie about. What they ate for lunch. Things women don't lie about. Rape. To the near 7,000 likes, you're geniuses. Along with Lena, of course. Now within the same Twitter thread, you debunk this yourself, where someone says 10% of all rape allegations are false. You reply with, the actual number, while hard to track, is much closer to 3%, much lower numbers than any other typically reported crime. So I think it would first of all be good to look at the official statistics on this, and after, we'll play a little montage of the most well-known cases of false rape allegations. In countries like the United Kingdom, it is much easier to obtain statistics on this because you can look at cases for perverting the course of justice, and the reason for that, because we, the United Kingdom, are far more aggressive when it comes to dealing with false rape claims. Countries like the United States are not so aggressive. They treat it more as a misdemeanor rather than a crime, which is a shame. It should be treated as a crime. Now, it is widely known that feminists, for the most part, would cite the 2% statistic. Problem with this is that it's a bad number. And it traces all the way back to Susan Brown Miller's Against Our Will, and her citation for the figure is a single speech by an appellate judge before a small group of lawyers. It's essentially an anecdote about an anecdote. I'll leave a link to that in the description. There is another number cited quite often, that's around 40%, that comes from a peer-reviewed study. Unfortunately, It's over 20 years old, and therefore has no validity whatsoever, so we cannot say with absolute certainty whether or not either is true. We can just safely say both are not totally accurate in current year. Now, as an example of how the United Kingdom and the United States treat false rape claims, the two best examples would be two videos I've made myself. One where Emma Sulkowicz lied, got away with it, got a degree for lying about it, nearly wrecking the life of Paul Nungesser. But in the United Kingdom, we're about to hear about a sentence for a young lady who decided to make up several false claims, with one guy going to jail for several years for it, and another fleeing the country. There are some statistics that you can find on the FBI site. It's around the 8% mark. Unfortunately, it's not a definitive answer either. So unfortunately for the United States to be relevant to the tweet Lena Dunham makes that she debunks herself, there is no definitive number that could in fact give a statistic because of all the mitigating factors that come into play. Feminists like to work under the assumption that someone who says they've been raped has been raped. That is not how the rest of the world works. We work under the presumption of innocent till proven guilty, not guilty until proven innocent. We do not simply listen and believe, which is exactly what Lena Dunham is promoting in that tweet. I think now would be a good time to play that little montage I mentioned about false rape claims, or the most well-known false rape claims. Let's start with a lovely story from back in the 1980s. So current I Know, where a young lady claimed to have been abducted by 6 white men, who assaulted her and wrote KKK on her chest. Well, we want to make absolutely sure racial tensions could not possibly get any higher. This was all later to be proven to be false. Grats. Next we have Brianna Talbot, who claimed to have been taken hostage by 3 black men, again with the whole racial tensions. Yeah, she was lying, and this was later circulated by the Listen and Believer Twitter feeds. Then we move on to this lovely looking lady called Nikki Jovino, who lied and got sentenced to 2 years with an additional 3 years probation for second-degree falsely claiming and tampering or fabricating evidence. Genius. That was totally worth the education you lost along with your future. Now we go back in time to this case that only recently got an apology for the 4 men that were falsely accused. About bloody time, really. By the way, this is a well-known case, and I'll link it in the description along with many other things. Now to a more somber case, where Jay Winchester, who was falsely accused, took his own life shortly after. And I'm really sorry for what happened to you and your mother. Next, we have a teenage girl that was sentenced to 6 months in jail for claiming rape after she had sex with some random guy on a night out. Hashtag genius way to try and get out of telling your boyfriend that you were cheating and that you were dirty as all hell. Hashtag enjoy prison. Now we move on to this lady who had sex with 2 army guys and claimed rape because she was ashamed that she slept with them. Nice way to treat people that serve our country. Enjoy the 2.5-year sentence. Next, we move on to this lady who claims she was attacked by a dumpster. By a dumpster, not by the dumpster. The investigators checked the bins that she claimed her underwear was disposed in. They found nothing. We move on to this German model whose claims of assault were thrown out, along with her getting a hefty fine because her story did not match up after scrutiny, along with multiple interrogations. Finally, we go to Lena Dunham herself. Kinda. Who had to issue an apology after she mentions being assaulted in her book, and it led to people hunting down the person mentioned in her book. While she did use a pseudonym, these devout fans tracked some Republican guy down who did not commit the crime and made his life a living hell. Nice one.